Hey y'all, welcome to the start of another weekly reading vlog, but rather than doing my TBR jars, Spookopoly is going to be picking my books for the week. It is the second week of October, and if I am being completely honest with y'all, I'm very disappointed with how my reading has been going so far. I haven't felt the drive to read a lot, and I am disappointed in myself because of it. I was hoping to have at least gotten 2 rolls done so far by the start of this video, but no, I only have finished the first roll I had, which was A Far Wilder Magic by Allison Saft, to complete They're Burnin' Witches, Even If You Aren't One, which was one of the train station prompts. I did finish this, I did really enjoy it, so I did my next roll, which came up to mood read. This was one of the times where I didn't want a mood read. I wanted specific direction. I honestly just spun in a circle and ended up picking a book, which was When No One Is Watching by Elyssa Cole. I maybe got like 30 pages of this read last week, and then I didn't touch it at all over the weekend, and I'm very disappointed in myself about that. I watched a bunch of movies. Going into today, I was determined that I was actually going to get some reading done. So I downloaded the audiobook, and I was planning to take Faith for a walk this morning and start into this audibly. Except I slept awful last night, so I didn't get up to take Faith for a walk. I laid in bed for a very long time. And even though I totally could have read physically, did I do that? No, I did not. That was already a poor start to the day, and then I got to work, and my computer was the biggest pain all day. I don't know why. Still can't really figure out what was causing the issue, but basically everything was just running insanely slow and it was driving me crazy. But I officially got home, and I listened to some of the audiobook of this while I was putting some stuff away. Now I feel like I can actually give you a bit of a synopsis. So we are alternating perspectives between 2 individuals who live in Brooklyn. Our female main character, Sydney, has grown up in this area. She loves it. She knows everybody in the neighborhood. Unfortunately, her mom has been dealing with some health issues lately, so she has been taking care of her mom as well as the things her mom really cares about. At the start of the book, in the prologue, Sydney decides to take this like historical tour of the neighborhood because she thought it would be kind of interesting to learn some of the history around it. But she comes to find out that the tour is very white-centric, and there's not really any focus on what the neighborhood has become, on the real identity of the neighborhood that has developed over the years. So she takes it upon herself to create her own tour. Oh my gosh, there's so many distractions. Sam's attacking me, there's an ad. On that same tour, we also meet Theo, our male main character, who has recently purchased a brownstone in this area with his sort of girlfriend. It's not really clear what their relationship is. Own this house together. They live together. They're sort of trying to make things work, except he has no investment in the relationship really anymore. She cheated on him at some point, treats him like he's just a nuisance. So I don't really understand what that's about. I mean, just like give me a label. Are you still together or are you broken up? I want clear-cut answers here. On that note, I do believe this is a romantic suspense novel because I think apart from this, all of Elyssa Cole's other books are romance stories. Theo doesn't have a job, so one day he ends up going to this community meeting, and he decides he is going to try and help Sydney with her project of putting together this historical tour. At the same time, we're seeing that Theo's girlfriend, as well as one of their other neighbors, have very much othered themselves from the community, and it's very clear that they are racist. There has been a few mentions now of people disappearing in the town, weird situations happening, as well as these almost earthquakes taking place randomly, and I'm very intrigued to see how all of these events are going to come together. I'm not really sure where this is going so far. I know it's considered a thriller. It literally says a thriller on the cover. I am getting more invested into the characters. Sydney is quite likable. She's clearly going through some stuff, and I really appreciate what she is trying to do with this historical tour. I think that's very awesome. At the same time, Theo, I like that we've actually seen some background from him explaining like why he doesn't want to let go of this relationship, because his mom was very much the same way. So he had a rough upbringing, and he really is desperate to kind of find this home for himself, and he's trying to find that in this community, even though clearly he did not find it with his girlfriend, roommate, person. Something's building. There are hints being laid out. I am intrigued, but as far as like actual plot goes, I don't think a lot has happened. It is Monday night. I believe Jan is hosting some Patreon sprints right now, actually. So I'm probably gonna hop on those here in a second. And then I'm home alone this week, but I forgot to cancel my HelloFresh. And while I could absolutely cook one of those meals for just myself and, you know, have leftovers, I already have some leftovers and I keep going back and forth between whether I just want to eat those or if I actually want to cook. I don't know. I'll figure that out. Hey y'all, look at me, actually remembering to film an update on a Tuesday for once. I have continued working into When No One Is Watching, probably have about 50 pages left right now, and I have to say I'm very impressed with this. It is very suspenseful. I remember a critique a few years ago when this first came out that this wasn't a real thriller because it wasn't very suspenseful. I don't know what they're talking about. I am on the edge of my seat. Are you kidding me? And because of things that Sydney in particular has experienced in her past, she is all the more paranoid and terrified of sharing her thoughts with people and being seen as not stable. It's so nerve-wracking. Both of these characters are like full-out onions. You peel back one layer and there's something more going on there. It feels like every time we get one answer, we get one explanation as to why they act like this. What in their past caused them to do these things? There's like 3 more things waiting in the sidelines to come out and surprise you. But the mystery, what's happening in this town, finally getting explained. And yeah, this shit's terrifying. There's also just situations going on in this book, you know, as a woman are terrifying, but obviously the generational trauma tied in with it, the systematic racism that is being talked about in this, all of that also equally terrifying. And how it's being utilized is so hauntingly and terrifyingly realistic in certain ways. Obviously, this is to an extreme extent, but even so, it's scary how real this feels. I will say Alyssa Cole's writing is very interesting to me because a lot of the time it seems very serious. It seems very true to the story. It seems to fit very perfectly. And then she'll just like drop in a random metaphor that is so out of nowhere. The most surprising pop culture reference that just catches me off guard. There was a line where Sydney said something reminiscent to she was reaching, "I'm not feeling okay, Mr. Stark." That came out of nowhere. Oh God, no. The one that really made me stop and like evaluate what was just said was Theo likening something being satisfying to the feeling one has when you're constipated and you finally manage to go. So like, apart from those really weird moments that take me out of the story, I'm having a phenomenal time with this. It is wild. It's really frustrating because like on one hand, I want to keep reading this. I do. I only have 50 pages left. I could keep listening to that audiobook while I'm getting ready for bed. But as I mentioned, there are also moments in this where it's just terrifying to be a woman living alone, and that's what I am right now. I'd rather not have nightmares. Which means I should probably stop this for tonight and finish it tomorrow morning. I had that same thought process yesterday when I went to bed, so I actually continued into Magic Lessons by Alice Hoffman because I was in a reading mood, thankfully, and wanted to ride that wave. I only read like maybe 12 pages. I hit something that was revealed that actively made me stop. It was icky, and I really wanted to make sure that Hoffman was not writing it in a romantic way. This is technically, I guess, like 0 of the Practical Magic series. It is following Maria Owens, the originator of the curse that plagues the family, to never find love because men are a plight against women. It's not quite that simple, but like that's the gist of it. And of course, she has seen how love has affected the women in her life already. She is currently 15 at the point I'm at. She has sworn off love. She does all of these little witchcrafty things to try and keep it as far away from her as possible. But then, whilst working as a maid, she ends up meeting this man, and instantly she knows she's gonna fall in love with him. He is infatuated with her upon first glance. But what made me stop was when it was said that he is a man of 37. At the beginning of the chapter, it was mentioned that she is 15. I get it. This is set in the 1600s. I understand. It still felt weird. Alice Hoffman, especially being the author of this in present day, could have, at the very least, written her as like 17 and it would have been a little bit better. I mean, obviously, age appropriate would have been much better, but her being 15 and him being 37, I really had to just stop and be like, is this gonna be written in a romantic way? Because I'm not gonna be able to handle that. After looking at reviews, I have seen that whilst she is in love with him, it is not going to be overly positive thing because it obviously ties into the curse, which I guess I just didn't think about last night, honestly, because I was reading this as I was going to bed. So on that note, I might continue into this. It really just will depend on how I'm feeling. I really want to keep reading. I'm so close to finishing this. And then that means I can do another roll tomorrow. It's Tuesday, as per usual. I went to my brother's. We had Hawaiian food, which was delicious. We watched more of My Hero. We hit the first full-length movie, which was really good. All Might is just the best. He's great. Other strong feelings that I can share that aren't too spoilery. Bakugo is the absolute worst. He drives me insane. I am so sorry if you're a Bakugo stan. Can you explain to me why in the comments? Because I really want to know what people see in him. Okay, so I'm a filthy liar. Judge me, but I finished this. And if I want to read a book in the morning while I'm walking Faith, I have to do my roll now. So we're gonna do that real fast, even though it's 11:30 at night. Okay, so we were last on mood read. I'm just gonna use my little back clip thingy for my player. We're gonna roll our dice. We got 9. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A black cat. Hey guys, happy Tuesday. So I wanted to come on and give y'all an update because obviously, like I said, last night I ended up finishing when no one is watching. This book possessed past Nat to finish it. It was so intriguing and I really loved the back and forth that we see from our female main character, Sydney, at the end of this book, because as the book develops, she becomes more and more of an unreliable narrator. And like I mentioned, she's terrified of admitting these things to other people in her life because she's concerned they are going to view her as crazy, that they will lock her up for saying these things that she has no actual proof of. Builds on itself so well in the latter half of the story, and then as you're nearing the climax, the way it is utilized to drive a rift between the two characters is so clever. And then how that affected the events leading into that final climax, I loved it. Really though, the last like maybe 40 pages of this book were just insane. Crazy, insane. But it's the type of insanity I love in horror books. Even though this is a thriller, like it's not super gory, but you know what's happening. That shit's intense. That's hardcore. Even if Alyssa Cole is not describing it in such a way, your brain can still get you there. And I was all over it. Oh my God, this was so good. I get why this was talked about a lot. I still don't understand why some people say this is not a thriller. Yes, it is slow moving, but it's slow moving in a way that builds suspense so perfectly and consistently makes you feel uncomfortable, always puts you on the edge of your seat, has you cautious about every single thing that this character is uncovering. This is definitely a thriller. It's slow moving, but it's a thriller. It has some romance elements because there's actually a sex scene, which I was not anticipating. There is some horrific elements later on. This was so freaking good. If she comes out with another thriller, I am gonna pick that thing up so quick. This was really good. Like I said, I still kind of had some issues with Cole's writing at certain points. The one line about the constipation is gonna live rent-free in my head because it was so weird and unexpected. I also talked about in that like really fast update last night that I needed to do my next roll because if it was a book that I could get via audio, I wanted to have that for when I was walking Faith this morning. I ended up getting Black Cat, which is one of the few prompts on this board that I had no idea what to pick. However, I realized the point I'm in Soul Eater, my bookmarks on there, the point I'm in Soul Eater, volume 6, Blair, who is a cat, is a part of the story right now. The prompt is either has a cat on the cover or a black cat included in the story. So bang, that works perfectly. Helps me continue on my manga series. And also, you know, this is gonna be a really fast read. I'm excited to get into this one because we were kind of in our first major action scene. Apart from that regular vloggy stuff, I wanted to tell y'all about, what's the drink called? It's on Starbucks' menu lately. I've been seeing it advertised a lot, and it's like that brown sugar shaken espresso thing. Oat milk, brown sugar shaken espresso. Get that as a latte. This shit's delicious. It's like my new addiction. Anytime I go to Starbucks lately, that's what I'm getting, and it's so good. Work was work. My computer continued to give me problems all day long to the point where like I can't have more than maybe 2 Chrome tabs open. My keyboard is also very much up and down on working, but I did come home to a very welcome sight. A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed came in, which is my friend Allie's birthday gift to me. She also annotated this and she did the pre-order thing for Ava Reed. So I got these beautiful extras. I'm gonna share them because they're so freaking pretty. Got a signed book plate. This is the hero character, I believe, and I love the playing cards. They're so pretty. This is our main character, 𝗖cie, I believe. She's so pretty. And then I'm not sure if this is supposed to be her professor or the Fairy King. I'm intrigued though. And then finally, this beautiful print. Guys, I'm so excited to read this book. So this is a gothic fantasy story, I believe, in which we are following a young girl, 𝗖cie. She unfortunately is essayed by one of her professors, but nobody believes her. I believe she gets the opportunity to go and stay at the house of her favorite author who wrote this series, which has affected her for the rest of her life because I think in that series is a character who is the Elf King, and she has been hallucinating him since she was a child, which is part of why people don't believe that what happened to her actually happened. I think the love interest character is an architectural student who also goes to stay at the manor, but like to renovate it in some way. And, you know, they have differing opinions on this author, so they're butting heads and, you know, feelings emerge. It's Ava Reed's writing, so I know I'm gonna love that. I think Allie liked it. I'm pretty sure she did. She did annotate this for me as well, which means it's gonna be an even more fun reading experience. So it is Wednesday night, and currently my plans are that my girls and I are going to FaceTime for a bit, I believe. That's not gonna happen for another few hours though. So I think for right now, I'm gonna go get comfortable because my contacts have been driving me crazy all day and I'm getting a headache. I wanna take off my makeup. I am going to read Soul Eater, and then I will probably talk to y'all again for my next roll and whatever books I end up picking. Hey guys, happy Thursday. Today has been a day, I'll just put it like that. I am gonna work on some laundry because honestly, this kind of showcases how many clothes I have. It's ridiculous. I theoretically could continue just without doing laundry, but all 3 of my laundry baskets are currently filled with clothes. We're gonna do that. So I told y'all that I was gonna read Soul Eater, volume 6 last. I read this yesterday and I really enjoyed it. Are in a big fight scene. There is a lot riding on the fight scene. I love seeing truly just unhinged Stein. It's one of my favorites. We see how deep Maka and Soul's partnership is, and like that's definitely why I ship them, because they just work so well together and they are so in sync with each other. Finally actually see the big bad of the series on page. This one, great time, really enjoyed it. And then I did my next roll, which I'll go ahead and insert here. Alrighty, time for our next roll. So we're on Black Cat. Okay, let's see what we get. Oh, we got a double. Great. This means that I have to read 2 books to fulfill the prompt. This was kind of like my own rule that I set. So 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pumpkin Spice, which I believe is to read a spicy book. So off of that roll, I have to read 2 books that fit into Pumpkin Spice before I can roll again. However, it kind of works really fantastically that I got Pumpkin Spice for this, because this one can be read in one of 2 ways. Either read a book you're like really looking forward to, a highly anticipated read, or read a book that is spicy. I decided I will read 1 book for spicy and 1 book for spicy in that you're highly anticipating it. For the book that is, actually spicy, I have multiple romance books I need to read, but honestly, the one that's appealing to me the most and one that I'm very much looking forward to picking up is, I think it's called Pulling Doubles by Christina C. Jones. It's the 2nd book in the Wright Brothers series, and seeing as how I had such a great time with the first one, I've been wanting to continue the series very quickly. The audiobook's only like 5 hours, which works out so perfectly. So that's gonna be a very fast, easy read. And then for the book that I am highly anticipating, I have gone back and forth a lot on this one, but I am a member of Jan's Patreon, and we do a different readathon once a month for a weekend readathon, and obviously for this month it's like Halloween themed. So I am gonna pick a book that will work into the prompts. Also, a book that I was really wanting to get to for a book club, The September House by Carissa Orlando. The only downside with me picking this book is that it's due to the library on Saturday. And I mean, it's over 300 pages. Theoretically, I can get this read, but I'm really gonna have to buckle down, and I'm also starting this tonight rather than tomorrow. I have heard mostly positive things for this so far. I did hear on one hand that it is a lot of slow building, but the ending definitely makes it worth it. Jan said I 100% could binge through this book because it's very addicting, so I'm hoping that will happen. As I mentioned, today was a freaking day. Sam woke me up at like 6 a.m. and then I could not fall back asleep, so that was great. Rather than getting up and, reading a book or getting up and taking Faith on an early walk, I just wallowed in bed and read some fan fiction. I read actually like 5 fan fictions. Apart from starting into The September House and my laundry, I also need to get some editing done. I'd been transferring files from my computer to my hard drive, and it took like a full day and it still hadn't finished processing, but I need to do some editing, so it was like, okay, I'll just cancel for now. That was a fair amount. I think we were like 75% through. I still have leftovers for tacos, but I have now had Mexican food for 3 meals in a row. I'm really not wanting tacos. I don't want my other leftovers either, so I think I'm gonna make fancy schmancy ramen. And then I need to finish watching Beetlejuice because I never did that yesterday. I think for the next Halloween movie I'm gonna watch tonight, since I have to do editing, it needs to be something I've seen before. I think I'm gonna do Scream, maybe Happy Death Day if I can find it.
No, you can't tell people that. There's no hair pulling.
There's no hair pulling?
There's no hair pulling.
No hair pulling. Whatever, what a letdown. Yeah, baby, put that on your TikTok.
Hey guys, it's actually Sunday. Terrible job vlogging for the rest of the weekend, but Friday night, Josh and I went to our favorite haunted house, had to celebrate Friday the 13th. We also went with his family, and it was a lot of fun. So like they've had this like witch theme going for the last few years, and they added a new section where it was like the forest witch, and it was really cool. There is a nightmare witch where everything gets really dark, and there's this one hallway with all of these mannequins and robes and masks, and that hallway always freaks me out because I just prepare for somebody to be real. And someone was. He scared the crap out of me by like growling right in my ear as I was walking. Very much enjoyed. They had some really cool new animatronics too, so that was great. They always put on a good show. The only downside this year, unfortunately, was pacing for people going through was a little off because unfortunately we caught up to a group in front of us, and I'm the leader in the group nine times out of 10, and I tend to walk pretty slow. Plus there was another group that caught up to us at the back. That was a shame. But other than that, still had a lot of fun. I attempted to read into September House. I got about 60 pages in. And I was enjoying it, I will say. I was enjoying it. I was very intrigued. I was reading it quite quickly, but it was due back to the library on Saturday and I never got any more read. So that got returned. Josh and I spent most of Saturday running errands. We went by Spirit and walked around some. I could not get over the fact that in the anime section, they had a costume for Bakugo, but not Midoriya, who is the main character. I still can't get over it. It's ridiculous to me. We did watch a few horror movies though. So we finished out Scream, which I was in the middle of. Josh showed me Texas Chainsaw Massacre because I had never actually seen it. Shockingly ungory. It's much more psychological because like you know what's happening, but it's actually not really super gory on screen. I guess excluding like the finale. And then because, you know, psychological terror, I voted that we watched Tucker and Dale versus Evil to end the night out, and I love that movie.
We have had a doozy of a day.
A real doozy.
It just brings me so much happiness. Dale is just the most pure. While we were out yesterday, as I said, we returned that book to the library. And while we were there, I showed Josh around and we looked at some of the stuff they had, and they had 4 through 9 of Spy Family. So I checked them all out. Do I think I'm gonna actually read all of these this month? Unlikely, but a girl can try. Since I had to return September House, and that was my anticipated read for my current role, I can't get that book anywhere else, meaning I'm just gonna have to suck it up and do a different anticipated read. This is actually one of the books I was originally planning to pick up before I decided to make September House work. Mayfly! I'm really excited to get into this one because it was sold to me as like American Psycho, but it's a woman. And American Psycho is still one of the most grotesque horror books I've ever read. It was the first horror book I ever read, so it tends to be the book I compare all other horror stories to, because that one, there are certain scenes in it that live in my head rent-free that I would personally like to bleach out. The only thing that I think has ever come close, if you're intrigued, was a specific scene in Don't Fear the Reaper by Stephen Graham Jones. The deer scene, if you've read the book. I'm excited to get into this one. I've heard a lot of positive things about it. Jan said it was a favorite of hers. She annotated it a lot, so I did make an annotation tab system for it. It's pretty short, so hopefully I will work through it pretty quickly. That will not be happening in this video. No, hopefully I will definitely have this finished as well as pulling doubles, and I'll be on to my next spin by the time I start filming my next Spookopoly vlog for the month. But perhaps I'll talk to y'all about this then. If I don't, check out my wrap up for thoughts. All right, and on that note, I need to round out this vlog because I have to actually start editing it for tomorrow. So thank you so much for coming to my channel. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit like and subscribe down below. I have all my socials as well as a few ways you can support me linked in the description. I come out with videos on Monday and Friday, but until then, I hope you continue to have a terrific day. Love you, bye!